After the 30-game mark for the Buffalo Sabres and this long COVID pause, let's take a minute to evaluate the season so far. The Sabres are currently third last in the Atlantic Division. They have 10 wins, 15 losses, 5 overtime losses, for a grand total of 25 points. The Sabres at the beginning of the season, they were close. They were actually in the playoff picture. They were leading the Atlantic. I don't think anyone expected them to make the playoffs, and when they fell off, it wasn't that big of a surprise. They started off the year strong with great goaltending from Craig Anderson, and then at the beginning of the year, Dustin Tokarski was also playing pretty solid in goal. But after Anderson went down, Tokarski and Aaron Dell really faltered, and that to no fault of their own, although there should be some blame there. The defense of the Buffalo Sabres was horrendous during that time. However, let's take a deeper look into this team. Through 30 games, Kyle Okposo leads this team with 20 points. This is very unexpected considering he was on the fourth line last year. He has 6 goals and 14 assists for his 20 points. Okposo, he's noticeably been faster this year. He's taking more shots with his sick wrister. He loves the toe drag shot. I think this may be one of his last years in Buffalo. The team loves him, but at some point they're going to have to cut ties with him, especially considering the contract. That was 6 years, $6 million, I believe. Tage Thompson has had a great year for this team. He's got 10 goals. He leads the team in goals. 8 assists for 18 points. A lot of people got on him after not living up to the billing of from the trade that we got with Ryan O'Reilly for Patrick Berglund, Vladimir Sobotka, and then Tage Thompson. A lot of people thought it was a really bad trade, especially after seeing Tage Thompson in his first 2 years in the NHL. However, this year he's been proving them all wrong. He's really strong on the puck. He's getting great shots off. He's also creating for his teammates. I really think he's the future of this. He's going to be a huge part of the future for this team. I don't think he'll ever live up to that Ryan O'Reilly trade because that's not fair to him. He's not a point per game player, but he's a great goal scorer for this team. And for a young team like this that's really struggling, that has struggled to find goals, he's great to have on this team. Rasmus Dahlin. Now, there's a lot to like. The talent is there. He's so smooth with the puck. But there's just so many boneheaded plays. He turns the puck over so many times. I do like how Granato has freed him. He has 18 points on the year, which is tied for second on the team with 6 goals and 12 assists. He's skating beautifully, and in their most recent 3-game road trip, he had 3 goals. He was very good for them in every single game. They just need to get his consistency up. He has the potential to be a franchise defenseman. I don't think that was ever in question. It's just, can he live up to it? His first 2 years, he really struggled to live up to it. He showed all the flashes, but now he's the true number 1 defenseman for this team. He's taking on more minutes, and I think he's showing growth. And he'll definitely be worth a look to keep around next year. I hope we do keep him. He's only going to continue to grow. Although, with a team that's lacking so much defensively, he's been put in a bad position, so that should also be considered when looking at him. Jeff Skinner, again, a really bad contract that we signed him to. He'll most likely never live up to that 8-year, $9 million deal, but at least he's scoring this year. He has 9 goals, 8 assists for 17 points. He's third on the team in points. Skinner, I think everyone knows what he is at this point. He's going to age poorly with his game style, which isn't a great thing. He doesn't have an effective wrist shot, but he skates well with the puck, although he turns it over a lot when he tries his spin moves and all of that. I think he'll be around for a while considering the contract, and it's almost, you can't even move it, but he's showing signs of encouragement with his goal scoring prowess and his ability to create this year, which is something we didn't see in his 40-goal season. Victor Olofsson, Before getting injured, he was off to a great start to the season. He was nearly averaging a point per game. Now he's back down to numbers we'd expect from him. In his 22 games played, he's got 5 goals, 12 assists for 17 points. Most people expected him to lead this team in goals and have less assists. But this year, he's been great creating. He's passing the puck well. His shot just hasn't been there. He's shooting at 10%, though, which isn't too bad. Last year, he was great on the power play. This year, considering he's been out for a little bit, his power play numbers aren't as great. But he's still a huge threat on the power play, although teams are starting to lock down on him when he gets it to the, so they can block that one-timer of his that's so lethal. He's been a great it's been great to see him having more assists. We know he has that goal-scoring ability, but people have questioned his 5-on-5 prowess, but I think he's really shown that he can play at 5-on-5 at least a second-line level. Dylan Cousins. Now, this kid everyone loves. He embodies the heart of this team. He wants to lay his body out. He wants to do everything for this team. He may not lead the team in points and assists, but he shows the potential to be a leader on this team. He lays it all out on the line every night. I think once he gets older, you're going to see that consistency in his ability to score and create. But he's had a very solid season, especially considering he hasn't had great line mates. He's had to play with Brett Murray a lot, who he's an AHL player, not going to be on your second line typically with Dylan Cousins. Also, Rasmus Asplund, he started off the year strong. He's kind of tailed off a bit, but he's shown a lot of signs of encouragement, especially considering many just thought of him as a fourth-line player. He has 15 points on the year as well, with 5 goals and 10 assists. Also, looking at Jacob Bryson, he's had a really strange year. Last year, he came into the lineup. He was great. He was a great infusion of speed. But now, he's not really producing offensively, and he hasn't been great defensively either. He only has 7 assists on the year, no goals. I think he plays a lot in overtime too, but I think they're not allowing him to do as much, especially now that he's not on that first line of defensive pairing. And with Dahlin, they want to give him all the offensive defenseman role, and Bryson just doesn't get as many shots. So there's something to consider there. Also, Casey Middlestat. Now, this kid has so much talent. We drafted him 8th overall in the first round. He just has so much talent, but he can't get on the ice, whether that was when Ralph Kruger was the coach, or now he can't even get on the ice because of injuries. He's only played in 4 games this year. He has 1 goal, and that's it. He's been sidelined with an injury, a shoulder injury that required surgery. Most likely he won't be back until later in the year. Middlestat, I really love this kid. He's got so much potential. He has great hands, especially in the shootout. He's amazing. He creates well. He's growing into that center role. He's really matured in his body, and I think when he comes back, it's going to be great for this team to have another creator take off offensive burden on other players such as Dahlin, Cousins, because Middlestat can create. He's going to be a huge piece in this team moving forward. For the goalies, that's been a different story. UPL has really stolen this goalie, this crease. He's great. I think moving side to side, he's improved a lot. He didn't have a great year in the AHL, but when he got called up, he's been playing fantastic. He has 5 starts, 2 wins, 2 losses, and an overtime loss. But a lot of the losses, I believe in 2 of the losses, the Sabres scored 1 goal, and he only allowed 2 in. He's been very solid in net. 1.96 goals against average, a 939 save percentage, which is up there with some of the top goalies in the league, even though it's a small sample size. But you have to consider the team he's playing in front of. This is one of the worst defensive teams, and before him, they were allowing 6, 7 goals a game with Dustin Tokarski in net and Aaron Dell. Aaron Dell was very disappointing in net for the Sabres. Dustin Tokarski has a 3.28 goals against average. His save percentage is a 903, which is decent, but it's not the backup NHL goalie you want. Craig Anderson has been sidelined with injury. They recently acquired Malcolm Subban from the Chicago Blackhawks. In 2 games, he's been very up and down. One game, he really struggled, got injured. The other game, I believe it was an overtime loss to the Penguins, where he had nearly 40 saves. They lost 3-2 in overtime. And he showed flashes of being a great backup for this team. And maybe the tandem of UPL and Subban can get us a few more wins. I think UPL is here to stay. He's shown so much growth as a goalie, especially after having hip surgery only a year ago when he came up for the Sabres. He really showed that potential to be the future goalie of this team, especially with prospects like Devin Levi coming up to potentially challenge him for that spot as the number 1 goalie for the Buffalo Sabres. But that is a couple of years down the line. A lot of potential has been shown in the AHL as well. Jack Quinn, who really struggled last year in the AHL to dominate, has shown the ability to dominate now in the AHL. In 17 games, he has 11 goals, 13 assists, and 24 points. Before testing positive for mono and COVID, he was on a tear. I think he was one of the best players in the AHL. And now, when he comes back, I'm sure he'll get back on track. I don't know if we'll see him anytime until maybe the end of the year, when the Sabres are basically done, like out of the playoffs. The games are somewhat meaningless, allowing these kids to come up, get some experience, but also they have a great shot at winning the AHL this year. Also, JJ Peterka has been great for this team. The German has 23 in 23 games played. He has 4 goals, 16 assists, 20 points. He's been a great addition to that Amerks team. I love watching him play, the grit he plays with at that right wing position. And then Peyton Krebs, the highly coveted prospect from Vegas in that Eichel trade, has been awesome for this team. In 18 games in the AHL, he has 19 points with 4 goals and 15 assists. This guy oozes with talent, and I'm sure fans can't wait to see him get up in the NHL and show what he has. Also, Linus Weissbach, I like him a lot. I think he has a potential to be a huge contributor on this team, on the Sabres in a couple years. He has 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points in 14 games. Casey Fitzgerald also received a call-up recently. In his first game as a Sabre, he recorded a point while also winning a fight. I think he won the fight in Pittsburgh, and he showed a lot of grit. Arttu Ristolainen, he has a lot of experience on this Sabres team. He's a great goal scorer. He only has 2 assists on the year in 6 games played, which is relatively disappointing. However, I think he's proven at the NHL level that he can at least contribute at a 4th-line level. So the Amerks have shown a lot of promise this year. If you can get out and catch a game, you should. Once this COVID pause, once they get all their players back, it'll be great to see. You've got Jack Quinn. He's former first-round pick for the Sabres. You got Peyton Krebs from that Eichel trade, former first-round pick himself. You've got JJ Peterka. He's a great right winger. I think he was a former 6th-round pick from Germany. He's awesome to watch. You got Brandon Bureau, Linus Weissbach. You got Oskari Lauskinen. There's so many guys. And I even forgot to mention the veteran, Michael Mersch. 23 games played, 14 goals, 11 assists, 25 points, leads the team. some of that is in part to Jack Quinn being out, Peyton Krebs being out. However, Michael Marsh, he's, I believe, 30 years old. He's really having a great season for himself. You could see him in the NHL pretty soon. I think he leads the AHL in goals. This is a man that has basically been an AHL player his entire career. He's awesome to see. You should definitely go out and watch him. And this AHL team, a lot of these players you're going to be seeing on the Sabres in a few years. And I think it's going to be great to see. Imagine a lineup with Tage Thompson, Dylan Cousins, Casey Middlestat, Rasmus Asplund, Peyton Krebs, Jack Quinn, Rasmus Dahlin, Jacob Bryson, Victor Olofsson. The list goes on and on. There are so many prospects for the Sabres. This may not be their year to make the playoffs. But they're gonna develop. This team has shown so much talent, whether that be Owen Power at Michigan, Devin Levi at Northeastern. There's so many guys that when this team comes together, they're going to be challenging for a playoff spot and hopefully a cup pretty soon. Thank you for listening to Double A Sports Podcast. Let us know what you think of the Sabres' future down in the comments.